one, which is still happening. He stood and stared at his monsters. He tells himself that if I just walk on this map, I will be able to collect all the monsters, from closest to farthest in order. After that, he runs through the maze and says that I must find the largest number of crystals of these monsters before the remaining contestants. He then continues and says that the exact location of the crystal is on the monster's palm. Exactly. However, it is not easy to walk in this maze. During this time, while he was doing this, he noticed another person and went to watch him. He tells himself that this person is the one who was scanned and that he will not appear except after every 5 days. Yeah, it looks like he found Jawara a monster, so it would be better for me to go and see him. In fact, this is what happened, and he is destined to throw a monster gem and be very happy that he did. Delivers to her, but suddenly the person who was watching him on his shoulder turns him rigid and makes him be cautious and drops this jewel on him, the land, and he takes it from him and runs away. Here I remember the words of the official Deng when he said that there were no conditions on the method of research. He concludes that what happened a while ago is what he intended. I threw it away, and he got up and yelled at this person all the time and said, I won't let you take it from me so easily. In a second, he comes so they can run after him, but he finds the women using their skill, tying him up and throwing him on the ground. Then, this is what makes him so angry about what she did. He tells her how, instead of catching the person who stole the jewel, my wife and I went tied up. At this moment, Jay approaches him and tells him what path you would do if you were able to follow him. I think that if you had followed him, you would have used the fusion skill or anything to defeat him. But I want to tell you that in moments like this, the best solution is to stop and think about the next step. Yours, because rushing recklessly is the most dangerous solution. If you hide and make your prey disappear, this will be much better than running after him and discovering him. Yourself, the three of us are still the person who stole the jewel from Liban. Look, he is still running in his place with all speed because he runs away. And here he talks to him. He is not holding him like this and tells him to hand over this jewel that you have immediately. This person gets really afraid at that time and opens his hand and throws it on the ground. Then he continues his words and says that I'm sorry that I scared you, but my doctor prevented me from doing anything. Effort. That's why I'm not good or skilled, but I have a very important reason to take an organization's license. Unfortunately for me, this is the 10th time I have taken the exam, but this is the last time I passed. The second exam was by chance. For this reason, I feel sorry for you for my behavior now. At that time, the person wearing red responds to him while he is itching and tells him that it is very important for him to participate. In this way, you should have been more careful. He is surprised that she listens to his words, but as soon as he looks behind him, he is shocked to find that it is all the branches of a plant. Hers started to tingle. And here he appears, not scratching his head, and saying, I looked at all the information that everyone here had during the exam, without anyone knowing. Although we both are skillfully aware of the level at which. Because my skill has a very big advantage in combat. If he comes back again, Alandi remains the one who continues her words with him. She tells him to look at the time screen because it is already 24 minutes. Now you have to put in more effort than that in order to succeed. At that time, he looks at the time screen and is surprised and says, it's not the time, but what says on the screen is no. This is also the contestants. She responds to him by saying exactly that, and although those who are awake can see the aura, it is difficult. It is very important for them to find monster gems in an organic place like this. Since there are no restrictions on the method of collecting gems, it will be easy for them to take them from contestants. Tannen. He is surprised by her words and asks her if this is the reason that kept them standing in their place in the first place. The competition doesn't move. He tells them that you must have done that because you discovered this information in the first place. He then continues and tells them, but apart from that, we can find gems very easily with a radar. My monsters. Jill stops him the second time and tells him not to worry because I have already made my preparations. Then she takes out the bag of jewels that Maso had previously. She tells him what will we be afraid of as long as we have this very large amount of jewels? I am very shocked by this. He asks her if she really intended to cheat in this way. He comes back again, staying with Zor. Whoever is destined to defeat him and cause him many burns everywhere in his body. Then he stood in front of him and he fell to the ground. He says to him, what do you think about handing over the jewels now? He really listens to what he is saying with his mind in his head and says to himself that there is no chance for him to reconcile the sooner. And I passed this second exam in vain. At this time, Shane continues to arrive at the place, and we see Alnahar talking to him on the speaker inside his heart. And you tell him that you have come to the right place. She continues and tells him that the jewel is with the person whose hair is short. At that time, he calls Ali Shane and tells him whether the jewel is in your hand or not. At that time, Zhao, of course, did not understand anything, and before he had time to respond to him, Shindai's head turned and she became arrogant. Very strange creatures appear from his neck. This is what makes Zhao stand there in shock, unable to comprehend what is happening. Exactly. Harbi continues her words after that and says that the jewel is in his left hand. According to my information, this person was in the same class as Shane and was his favorite friend. As long as you fear him, he will give you this jewel easily without any resistance. Shen really reveals her words. He calls Zaho and tells him to quickly hand over the jewel you have, because your favorite friend is Shane. Zaho also remains surprised at what is happening. He remains standing still and does not move. This is what makes Shane become more fanatical. He lets his monster attack him while it disturbs his mind. And he says the same thing I said, because you are nothing more than just a failure. At this moment, Zoe tries to make him resist and tells him, "But you are the one who made us participate in this exam because of me. My family is poor. You told me that if I could succeed in it and remain a strong warrior, I would make a lot of money and I would be able to help with it. My whole family." Shane doesn't care about what he says at all, and he also shouts at him and tells him to hand over this jewel quickly. Then Zoe talked to himself at that time and said, "Even if Shane asked me to surprise him, I would never do that. Never. Because after I suffered all these past years, I finally found an opportunity to change my life and the life of my entire family. My younger sisters also agreed that we would join this organization, and he made a lot of money. That's why I can't let this opportunity pass me by. But despite that, I don't normally think that I can defeat Shin. However, today he is behaving very strangely, and his appearance is much stronger than before. I am the only one against him and there is no chance that I will defeat him. But also, I will never waste the opportunity one have now that I have it." At this time, we see that Shane caught Zawar Bulkamil with his monster. But he never stops, and he activates the fire skill and destroys this monster and is able to free himself. Then he stands in front of Shane and says to Lana, "I'm sorry, but I decided that I will not hand over this monster's jewels. Never yours. And you were actually right that you were stronger than me. But it seems that you forgot something very important. The rules of this exam tell the effect of strength and weakness. I mean, the strong one here is the one who will be a target for all the contestants to get rid of." At this moment, he calls the two of them, not his other friend. He tells them, "Come, the three of us, fight together and divide the gems among us after that." Shane is very upset about what is happening, and he looks around and asks him if he was calling the two of them countries. When Zhao turns to look, he finds that the two of them have basically finished. He gets surprised and tells them that you both turned out to be worse than me. After that, he kept falling to the ground all the time, with this jewel in my hand for Shane, and he kept crying in order to pardon me. His life is just that. He tells us that I still have an old grandmother and two younger brothers that I want to take care of. At that time, he doesn't care about his words and opens a bug and says that he swallowed you because you are a very tired person, and you can keep telling your worries to the people inside. And here Zhao dies of terror and throws this jewel, trying all his speed while crying. In fact, he can escape from eating Xinlei, but they don't allow him to try and find a fourth one to find him. But suddenly someone comes and attacks him, hits him in the neck, splits it in two, and manages to save Zhou. At that time, when Zhou looks at the source of this attack, he is surprised to find that she is the class president, Su. On the other hand, why would he be happy about the attack that happened and tell her that it is very good because we are finally here? We sued him, but he shows him a trace of her infection and warns him and tells him that the aura of this creature has not yet been recovered and it is with us. It's still not a match. Then he continues and says that what is more important than that now is that I lacked the sense of this aura before. That's it. He tells him that this aura remains the aura of the ugly person whose name is Dr. Zio. He surprises me then when he learns this. He calls Zor and asks him to get out quickly. So Zor does what he says, but he stands in front of Su and greets me to her and thanks her for saving me. But she cursed his mind and told him that you should run away now because the person behind you is still dead at all. Indeed, at that time, he becomes healthy because he achieves success and connects his body back together. And when he sees him in this sight, he says to himself, even though it was something that was really disgusting, because this is an amount, very much in it, something comes up and you interrupt at the time and say in this case, "I'm sorry that I told you that I need something more disgusting." From that too. And here he was shocked when he looked and found that there were big enemies of him who had appeared in the examination hall. All of them. Then she goes out to market this transmitter of hers and speaks to the secretary, telling her that strange monsters have appeared, and very many contestants were injured. That's why I'm asking you immediately to open the room door and let the contestants out immediately. The secretary was very shocked at what she heard. Then a ding is applied to the official after that. As you say, there is a very dangerous situation during the exam. Open and see the surveillance cameras now. The official, Deng, hears these words and it scares him. And when he holds the tablet to see the cameras, he is shocked by the sight in front of him. He sits wondering how these monsters got here. He then continues if these monsters have anything to do with Shane. He says that he sees that all of them are exactly his most valuable features. At that time, the secretary picks up a phone. She says that she should call the control center to open the doors and get the contestants out of there. But they were shocked at the time when it was already daytime that she was able to control a room. Control 2. Here, Suk speaks to Yoji and tells them that the situation has reached this point. We have no solution other than defending ourselves and saving these students. At that time, she speaks to Jill and asks her to help her save the students. But she rejects Jill for saying that and tells him that I will not be very good at protecting people, so I will leave this matter alone. On you. As for me and Y, we will go and implement the original plan we came for. At this moment, he does his merge skill for me and tells me that all the contestants were gathered in a place. And I was able to defeat them in just 15 minutes. But now they have turned into monsters and it will be very difficult to deal with them. He then continues and says, but I don't think this will be a problem. Because the last generation is the right time for me to try the Iron Fist skill. At the same time, they remained outside, and the soldiers of the deterrent division filled the entire place. But then the secretary comes out and she is fanatical and yells at Commander Han. And you say, why do you completely surround the examination room because this building belongs to this organization? You are here only to help us maintain order. Commander Han responds to her and tells her that we received a request for help 15 minutes ago and he missed it. He says that there is a very big person in Qatar who appeared here in the exam case. However, the system for opening the doors in the room here was basically broken. That's why the contestants inside need me to save them as soon as possible. In addition, we found something in the bathroom. This means that what you have inside is not the real thing. When we came to question him, he told us that there was a very dangerous person who had stolen his appearance in order to infiltrate a scene. This exam. The official then criticizes Deng for his words and tells him that you seem to have forgotten what his council can do. The great. Regardless of the monsters inside or the malfunctions in the system, we have much more experience than you. In cooperation with situations like this, we have already prepared the countermeasures, and you do not need to worry at all. Commander Han responds to him and mocks him, saying, it's like this. These countermeasures are yours. The entire examination exam is destroyed. But I want you to know something very important, which is that our Al-Radarai division has never allowed anything like this. It happens and we prefer to stand still. If you try and close the hatch door negligently, this could lead to all the monsters escaping and posing a danger over the entire city. By the way, the letter I have is signed by the defending general himself. It allows us to temporarily control the area surrounding the entire test force. In the first place, we will create a barrier and completely surround this place to ensure the safety of citizens who live near here. And then we will start rescuing the contestants. Since you do not have any valid objection, please let us continue with everything we are doing. Indeed, at this moment, the official, Ding Ho, is passing, but he talks to the secretary after that. He tells her what Commander Hani said that he is fine. But in reality, he is not here to save the contestants at all. She answers the secretary. You say it even if what you say is true. This is not the right time for us to suffocate with the deterrent squad. Because it is our top priority right now. We find a way to save the contestants with the least possible losses. Talk to Sue after that. Hez telling her now. The deterrent force is completely surrounding the place. And what you did. It is too late for us to rescue you so that they can take the first place from the outside. But I don't want you to ever quit. Because we will definitely find a way very soon. But now there is nothing in front of me except that I ask you to guide me. You save as many contestants as you can. It would be better if you gathered them all in one place. If you could do that. She says something bad to her, but this topic is a little difficult. Because the ability of the exam is a maze. The contestants are drawn everywhere randomly. But when she notices the iron she used before, she changes her mind and tells the secretary not to worry, because I found a very good method. At this time, all the contestants are listening. She tells them that there has been a breakthrough in the body of the monsters who were tested. The situation now is very dangerous. But I don't want any of you to worry at all. Because the officials are doing everything they can to protect us, and they cannot reach this solution of their own. You need to rely on your waking up skills to reduce the damage as much as you can. For this reason, I ask everyone to listen to my words, and they go to the middle of this maze as quickly as possible. There, try to gather and cooperate with each other in fighting these monsters. At this time, Harvey is surprised by Sue's words. When you turn to her and see that she is attacking monsters with her iron, you sit and laugh at her. She tells her that all this will not be necessary for me because these monsters of regeneration never die. At this time, the person named Moss is still stuck in his place and is still annoying. He tells her that it is easier for you to say that because you are not in my place. In addition to what you said, in this maze it is very difficult for us to easily know our direction. The idea of standing in front of this monster alone basically makes us unable to move. At this moment, a monster comes and attacks him to eat him. He closes his eyes and says to himself, if only I had known that the situation would turn out like this. In my time, I tried to succeed more than that in the past times. But suddenly he hears Zor's voice next to him and tells him it's still too early for you to surrender. Then another person comes and hits this huge monster in the face and pushes him away. When he sees what happened, he is surprised and says, you found me lacking. He responds to Zor and tells you that I was saved from the girl whose name is Swab, and that is why. Since these are her orders, I have to provoke her without thinking at all. Then he gets down to the ground and says, but despite that, how will we be able to find a middle? The maze is in the middle of a very large number of monsters. He responds to Zor and tells him that you have a good fight because the head of students will get a big mark in the middle. The maze so we can reach it. For now, let us move along and go together. He actually hears what he's saying, and the huge person continues breaking the wall to reach the middle of the maze as quickly as possible. At this time, he gets over the monster and is very angry because they beat him, and he runs after them and tells them, I will never let you escape. But Mama keeps quiet and activates his filly and closes the hole behind them and makes it so he doesn't know. He catches them. At this moment, Harvey becomes very angry and calls out to the remaining monsters. And you tell them to go and narrow down these contestants and don't let them know how to reach half of the baggage at all. At that time, Sue directs the words to her and tells her to think carefully whether you are correct in what you are doing or not. No. Then Harvey laughs and starts flying at her all the time and says to her, how do you think that you are a match for me in the first place? But she is surprised at that moment when she finds G jumping on her and getting on top of her and finally saying it. I fell into the trap. She grabs her by the neck after that and says it to all the people here running in the maze below us on their legs. Harvey kept mocking her at that time and said, how do you think you can be defeated with your very weak strength? D. especially for you. Then she takes out a bottle and sprays all of this liquid on Harpy, who becomes very angry. And you ask her what exactly she is spraying. She responds to her while she goes out and meets the person with her and tells her, this is cooking oil. Then you ask her if she had ever heard of a type of firework called the flying curd. At this moment, they suddenly became suffocating, hearing a very strong sound above them, and the ceiling broke and they fell. Jimin on Harpy. Then the official, Deng, appears and he is very happy and says, if you don't let us break the pav, this is normal because I will be able to break the whole roof. Okay guys, I will take a few seconds of your time just to introduce you to a very important channel, which is a channel. Simadon Manga. This channel uploads new, exclusive, and very good stuff. If you want to follow legendary and new stories with strength, it's not your best idea to watch this channel first. You will find me leaving her link for you if you would like to go to the pin comment. At that time, Harpy falls to the ground because she is very angry. She says to herself, where did this girl come from? Because I will not allow anyone to provoke me like this, not even live for a moment. She looks around after that. She finds that Jimmy is hanging her from the ceiling and is willing to provoke her. This is what makes her completely lose her nerve and get up from the ground and say, you don't have anywhere to run. In it now. Here she is trying to fly, but she cannot, because all her sand falls to the ground. And then she would sit and laugh and say it, even though I couldn't get carried away with your jokes, but I was still satisfied with it. This result. In this case, the official calls her Dingo and tells her that the space inside the exam model is very small, so use it. This is fast. She responds to Jay and tells us that I must eliminate this monster. So help those who are hiding below to escape first. At that time, all the stranded people were trying to get to Sue's iron base, but these monsters prefer to chase them away and eat them. And then Harvey was sitting laughing and telling me, how do you think you would kill me? This disaster can be stopped. Because, thanks in large part to your escape plan, all the escapees were gathered in one place. This would be a very nice thing for the monsters who now eat it as they want it, without even any orders from me. At this moment consult her make Les. She tells her to wait because the real show is still starting. Here Lee comes and stands in front of the monsters, holding a bag of jewels. He tells him to listen carefully. The first one of you to come is the one who takes the bag. Indeed, at that time, 3 of the monsters leave the races and run after him. At that time, Zhao tries to bring him up and tells him that they are not bad, but why does he not care about talking? Never. When this monster goes in front of him and tells him to give them the bag, he refuses and tells them, how do you think? I can give you the jewels really easily. You look like this. You forgot what you did a few days ago. At this moment, he throws the bag in the air and tells them even if I don't have any waking up skill, I won't give you these jewels either. Lan Shen is a very stupid person. At this time, the monster responds and runs after the bag again. As soon as they get distracted, he activates the Iron Fist skill on me. He attacks one of them and hits him in the face with a very strong blow. Then he goes to the 2 remaining ones, and he grabs them by the brain and knocks them in some cases, so that their hair becomes short. In the end, he runs and grabs the bag of jewels before it falls to the ground, and he tells them that you are even stupider than he is. At that time, he would sit thinking and say, even though I am actually reading something, it is difficult for me to hit him in the face this way. On the other hand, when he sees what happened, he gets upset and says, you were out all the time ago. You pretend to be weak in order to make fun of us and win in the end. Now, I am not surprised why the student president chose you, Balzac. But here, as soon as he finishes his words, he becomes very afraid because he remembers all the times he was bullied. In it, he will be terrified of my reaction to him after this exam is over. At this time, the official, Deng, also saw everything that happened, and he says to himself while scratching the person whose name is Lee, this one turned out to be really great. But Harvey interrupts him at that time and she is also scratching. She says the real fun is about to start now. And at that moment, as soon as she finished her words, all the parts of the monsters on Earth come alive for me, and it is surrounded by its atmosphere. This is what makes the present contestants very shocked by what happened. Then the official, Dingo, stops and says, this boy is in danger now, and I must use my skill and remove everything. The beast is about him. But the secretary prevents him and tells him no because this poses a very great danger to all the contestants, existing ones, because simply if you attack from the angle you are in, you will impudence them all. At this moment, Harvey is laughing and very happy because she was finally able to arrest Lee. On the other side, she calls Jalsa and asks her to close the hole in the ceiling. She breathes her words and does this, and at that time the official, Deng, is surprised by what they are doing. The other 2 contestants were in shock and screaming, saying, how will we escape? Now. But then we will know the reason, because whoever activates his thorn skill will produce a huge aura. It is shaped like a kiwi, and he can free himself from these monsters. At that time, he would say to himself that I blocked the hole in the ceiling because there was no deterrent squad or organization. They can see this skill. At that time, the monsters present would be dead in terror and he would ask him how could someone be with him. This is terrifying like that. But 2 of them go and attack him again, telling him not to be so happy with yourself because you stayed a little strong. But then they were surprised when they both hit the ground and Billy disappeared forever. Here is why he gathered his strength. He prepares his claws and runs over their body with all speed. It leaves the hair completely ash. At that time, the contestants were very happy about this and kept encouraging him. Unlike Zoe, who was surprised and tells me the same. I clicked on the information of all the contestants here. I found that Ward is a Tay-type with the Park skill. I knew that he had the ability to manipulate nature, unlike Les type, because he is the only one who has the ability to tell his body. So why doesn't it stay the same type and stay like this? In the same time, we go to the remaining monsters, all of whom are dead in their own right. Horror. Why do they prefer his family and hope that he does not get close to them? But of course, all of this is useless, because why is he running at them so quickly when he tells them I am? I will cut every one of you into pieces. Then all the monsters become afraid and begin to run away from him and climb onto the pile of iron. This is what makes the contestants the ones who are afraid and upset because he is the reason for this. Because of the heavy weight of the monsters, the pile of iron cannot hold up and begins to fall. She intervenes only to try to maintain her composure. But you are surprised when you find that something strange, like monsters, has begun to form beneath it. Then the doctor appears like him and keeps telling Sue why while he is investigating. I haven't seen you for a very long time. Meanwhile, she is calm and does not get nervous at all because she is anticipating that he will appear. Basically here, unlike Zhao, of course, who is very terrified and asks the doctor if Glee was here to insult him. But, at that time, when he heard his name, he was surprised and told himself that I said that this name, Lihan, was not strange to me. Never. Because it turned out that he was actually Commander Long's son. At this time, Dr. Zhao continues his words and tells me that I think we agreed with each other. That's it. Since you took the flash drive containing the information, it is your duty to fulfill your promise. At this time, we see that the contestants are still trapped on top of the iron tower, and the monster workers are attacking them. Then Zob is surprised when he finds that there is a very huge head that begins to appear under the tower and begins. She eats it. Here, why does he sit and shout at the contestants on top of the tower and tell them that the monster underneath is this iron structure? All of them fled from him immediately. Mo responds to him and says that the person with the head below this looks like he wants something from you. If it wasn't a mission, she wanted to surprise him, because there was nowhere we could escape here. At this moment, Zoe intervenes and activates his fire skill and starts to worry about it. He says, "How do you think this thing could be more important to our brother than our lives? If you say just one more word, I will burn all your plants, as I did with you before." But at this moment, the big person runs up to him and curses him on the ground and tells him, "You are a colleague of the person. What is his name? Surely you will say this stupid thing and you will stand by it." He calls him after that and tells him, "Give me the monster that thing you have, quickly, don't get you into trouble." Again, Dr. Zio then talks about what is happening and tells me that you should listen to what these people say because they all look very rational. At that time, he would actually leave his bag behind him and bring out the 3 dogs and tell them to run and go upstairs. This tower. Then he talks to Kyo and asks him if he is sure that he is dealing with a huge monster like this or not. Kyo answers him and tells him not to worry, and he takes me out quickly because I haven't eaten anything for a long time. Why does he do what he said? Turns the bag around and goes out to Dr. Zio. At this time, everyone present is shocked when they see what happened and cannot believe it. They are very surprised that you have a huge monster toast like that in just your own bag. But when they meet him towards Dr. Z's neighborhood, they become very happy and say, "This is the first time we have seen a cat. Between 2 monsters and his appearance will be very exciting." In these places, he is like a worker who thinks and tells himself that they will kill the monster that looks alike. Very significantly, he wonders if this is related to his supernatural power. On the other hand, Q Bacon was still falling towards the doctor. He uses the explosive breath skill and hits it. But it doesn't affect him at all and he gets up and likes it and stays after that. Here the contestants get very angry when they see what happened because the fight ends quickly. And he also gets angry and says to Kyo, "You told me that you would know how to deal with him, and in the end, I swallowed. As easy as that." But he calms down after that when he finds that the merging skill is still working. He says to himself at that time that this means that you are alive and nothing has happened. Now on the other hand, Dr. Shio is happy and says, "I can't believe that I can finally catch a monster. Go Island." The contestants interrupt at that time and tell him that it's okay, since you took what you wanted, so do it alone. Quickly and let's go. The doctor responds to them and tells them that if you had not spoken to me, in my time I forgot that I was a person. In fact, if he helps us hack the exam issue, I will get rid of all the contestants because of him. And here he goes and finishes swallowing in the tower. And this is what makes all the contestants scream in fear. They pray for anyone to save them. At this time, he runs to me with all his speed and goes up to the tower and says from the Fort of Luck that he is all of them. Up and there is still a while before I save them. But when he arrives, he is shocked when he finds that the doctor has already swallowed the entire tower. He tells me that we are late and all the contestants have eaten now. But then he is surprised when he finds that they are all still living and hanging from the roof of his plants. Then they kept talking to him and pretending that he would save them. They feel sorry for him that they asked him to surrender to the monster. He continues with them on their words and tells him to come quickly because I will not be able to bear any more than that. He calls the big person inadvertently and asks her to open the roof quickly so they can escape this place. Meanwhile, the secretary is standing with the official, Deng Bara. When you see the digital drones around them, you photograph them and tell him what the media looks like. He takes care of what is happening. It happens. If we do not solve the issue quickly, it will be a very big problem for us. The official, Deng, responds to her, and he is fanatical and tells me that I'm not interested in all of this and that it is the most important thing for me right now, to eliminate all contestants. In fact, I don't know what caused the hole in the ceiling to open, but it looks like I have to use my huge cannon. The secretary then objects to his words and tells him that you will not do that because I am one of the contestants. A lot inside. This way, you will hurt them all. At this moment, as soon as she finishes her words, they are surprised when they find the entire building shaking and leaving. Very large monster shields. Here, a soldier runs to Commander Han and tries to show him something on the tablet he has. He tells him that the situation now is very disastrous, and I don't think we can wait longer than that. Commander Han takes the tablet away from him and tells us, but I will carry out my commander's orders. The defending general has not yet given us any orders to move. But as soon as he says this word, he finds that the defending general is actually calling him and asking him to, has moving. They enter it. At the same time, on the roof, the official, Deng, made a military fork with his skill and hit it with it. He hit the ceiling with all his strength to break it. Indeed, through this movement, he is able to make a small opening. But then he is surprised when he finds that there is very strong dark smoke coming out of her and asks if that is the case. In the burning of his soul. At this moment, we go to Zhao, who is working with melasma. They actually smoke. This is very Alex. After he finishes, he calls Solile to start their plan. At this time, with the defending general, IBN Shale was surprised to find him behaving in such a way. Calm down, he tells him. You look like this. I knew all this would happen from the beginning. He responds to the general and tells him how many people have passed, and Dr. Oils was defeated by someone who had a dragon. Red, what he had been looking for a very long time. The place where this red dragon was found was your school. He then investigates and tells him that at the same time there was also someone present with that dragon. And you will expect that you guessed who this person is well. She is surprised at that time by his words and says, I guarantee you that why he did not neglect any abilities at all. He is just an ordinary person and nothing more. He gets angry and very stubborn at that time. And he uses his awakening skill. He turns his hand and holds his face. He says, I asked you before to bring me the shawl that was the color of her body for his son. But you failed and you saw that we have reached another lock. He throws his diary beside him after that. He said while he was scratching his head that it is normal for young people to feel embarrassed when they see a very beautiful girl. But I don't want you to let this make you forget what you're supposed to do and think that all of this is your fault. The first. Now we can sacrifice hundreds of lives just to correct this mistake. At this moment, Shane is shocked by his words as he signs his memo from his hand and takes pictures out of it. Too bad. As for us, we return again to the soldiers of the radar division, who are trying to break down the door of a room. Testing. As soon as they train him, they are surprised by the strong smoke that comes out of him. When Commander Han sees what happened, he tells them after the monster invasion that happened before. All buildings are equipped to be fire and earthquake resistant. Surely what happened now is a trick by the woke people and nothing more. Meanwhile, there was a role model inside the test, calling out Zofasa, and all the contestants say that they were able to escape now and get out of the village. Why don't we do that and go out too and let the people from this organization and the infant group take care of it? In the situation here, at that time, Sue calls Lei and asks him what he thinks about this proposal. So he answers her why and tells her not to worry because you will never lose for sure. The proof of my words is that I have not yet lost my transformation. And as soon as he finishes his words with it, I have blood that comes out of Dr. Z's mouthpiece. This is what makes Harvey laugh at them. And you say to them, I wonder how you feel now. And your trump card has been chewed up. Why doesn't he answer her at this moment? He continues to be patient with his transformation. At that time, we found that there was an agreement that appeared in the doctor's face, and Q got out of it right away. And he continues and prefers to eat everywhere this doctor. And it takes development points. But then the doctor opens. And this monster comes out of him, and the one who hits him and keeps him away from him. Then he gets angry and says that everything you are doing is unnecessary. Because I am endlessly renewed. He's not interested in talking. So he runs to him again and starts eating halfway through his mouth. At this time, a message comes to me from the system. He asks him if he wants to use evolution points to treat Kyo for the injuries he sustained or not. I am very happy with this message. He calls Kyo and tells him, eat as much as you can, because the more you eat, the more I can treat you. Here, Kyo prefers to actually finish eating. The doctor says to him, what do you think of my recovery skills? The doctor is shocked at this skill. He himself tells him the strength and skill of the Dragon Kyo is just all my expectations. But after all, monsters in the end are just stronger monsters. They do not have enough intelligence. Sometimes he comes to me and I respond to him. He tells him that even if you are able to recover, your friends will not be able to do this either. At that time, the doctor attacks Lee at that time, but he cannot do anything because Lee is defending himself, and his armor is destroyed. And when he finds him still attacking him again, he tells himself that we will not be able to continue with the situation. Never. But then he thinks, if you can, let him just use his explosive breath once. Again, we will be able to get rid of a large number of them at once. At this time, the official, Dinja, continued to build a sled from the roof of the building for the contestants to go down on, and they are saved. At that time, she stopped them one by one to tell her what happened, but she said to herself in the afterlife, I don't understand any of what they are saying. But it is clear from all of their words that Long Sun is very strong. We come back again. I have Souza and those who are still killing this monster. We see that Zor stood in front of one of them and told him to come and attack me because I am no longer afraid of you at all. But as soon as this monster gets close to him, he thinks about the situation that happened to him before and starts trembling with fear all the time. And in a second he runs and says I can't kill him. Then Sue intervenes, activates a skill and pins this monster to the face with an iron rod and lets it go. He throws himself on the ground. Then you upset him and tell him that you should be more concerned about your safety because of this monster. You should never underestimate it. As soon as she finishes her talk, she finds her phone ringing, and when she answers it, she finds the secretary. You startle her and tell her what exactly is happening inside because I don't understand a word that the contestant said. And since there are many people who are able to sleep, they are already running away, so you have not divorced them yet and left. The deterrent squad takes care of the rest. Sue responds to her coldly and tells her that I am sorry, but I will take care of this situation myself. At that time, the secretary became frustrated with her response. She asks her if they will come back because the monster is eating and they want to save him. Sue responds to her and tells her no, because he is a monster now, killing with all his might. The secretary then became angry and annoyed her. She tells her not to be so ridiculous because the situation is very dangerous. At that time, the official picks up the phone ring from her, and he tells me a dime that you can do whatever you want without any problems. But I want to tell you that the deterrent squad is already close to closing the door. They will take you 10 minutes before they can reach you. Here you end the call with him and tell me why this news happened. Then we will go to your place, and whoever is still killing Dr. Zio, and the one who tells him that you don't need to worry at all, because the 10-minute mark is over and I will have already locked you out. At this moment, why does he get so nervous when he hears the sound of the deterrent force banging on the door? He tells himself that we don't have much time because these insects keep coming back every now and then. The only solution to be able to find it is to use the explosive breath skill. He actually goes and calls Kyo here and asks him to use this skill. But he responds to you and says that this solution will not work because even an explosive breath will not be possible. They will all have to do it in due time. This is not at all that the explosive breath is a long-range attack, and every place is close to every place. The attack is also small. At this distance, I will only be able to make a hole in it, but this will not be enough to find it. At this time, the doctor checks in and tells him that this is true because my crickets are not. It will die unless you hit it with a long-range attack and kill them all at once. So, with what you are doing now, you will never know how to defeat me. If I want to end the matter, then I can swallow this whole building inside my stomach. Indeed, at this moment, he begins to eat it, and this is what makes the building shake and tilt. At that time, she would fall, but she would hold on to the ground with her iron at the last moment. At the same time, he also becomes very nervous and tells me himself that we need to think of a solution quickly. We can eliminate all this monster in one time. At that time, his voice cracked in Kiro. She asks him to quickly use the iron fist. I was surprised at the beginning of what she said. He gets happy afterwards when he thinks, I find that this solution can actually work. At that time, he kept looking around to find a suitable place from which he can practice this skill. He feels like he finds all the monsters at once. And here, when he sees G, she is fleeing on the ground. He runs to them and tells him to run away. I have to be in the air quickly to be able to use my skill. That's why I really need your help right now. At that time, Harvey responded to me at all times. And you say that you must be crazy to think that I can help you. But it gives me an evil laugh. He tells her not to talk about this matter, because you are considered among the monsters in the end. Then he puts his metabolism under her jaw. In fact, Bigler was removed from the regime. He tells him that he succeeded in seducing her. At this time, he gets up from the ground and speaks to her. He tells her to remove me from my back and fly me in the air above Dr. Zio. Harvey responds to her nervously. And you tell her, why can I hear what you say? He asks her why at that time and tells her because this is an order and not a request. Here Harvey is surprised when she finds that she cannot control her body, and she moves to carry out orders that are against her. She used to yell at him and tell him what kind of magic you did on her. G continues her words. She tells him that the skill you did is very good because I have not used it before. He answers her to me while he is happy and says, I didn't know that it would even work on the monster. Humanity. In this case, the harpy keeps taking him by force and for a long time. And you keep telling him that there is no point in controlling me because it is impossible for you to eliminate the doctor in the end. On the other hand, when he sees Mazao, he is shocked because he thinks that Harpy captured Lee. Even Q thinks so he will still attack her. But then he stops when he finds someone who reassures him and tells him not to worry because I have a plan. Very good. Here he asks Harpy to take me to the Iron Tower. But as soon as he gets close to the doctor, Harpy calls out to her so he can quickly lose her. At that time, the doctor did not allow her to do so well and thought that she had arrested him and brought him to eat him. He becomes very happy and tells her that you are so amazing that you were able to arrest him. Then he opens his mouth to eat it, but when the kiosk hits, he gets up and eats all the things that came out of it. His horn makes him continue on his way. As soon as he reaches the Iron Tower, he grabs it and begins to let the turtle escape. Her strength. Soap activates her skill at that time and it helps him maintain the shape of this tower so that it does not fall. Then, when the doctor sees what happened, he says to himself, I forgot that he can control monsters. He formed a harpy and actually sat under its influence. At this time, when he approaches the ceiling, he activates the Iron Fist skill and breaks it, and Tehran continues to the top of the tower. As soon as he reaches a suitable height, he calls Kyo and tells him to do it. His skill. Q really talks the same thing, but when she sees what is happening and that the attack is coming on her, she leaves behind and tells him why. You are definitely a crazy person. At this moment, he began to charge the column with energy from Q. After he finishes, he hits Pip with all the strength of the doctor like him and swears by Al Mason. And the whole building. At that time, he loses all of his energy due to this strong attack, so he loses consciousness and gets up.